Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Big Bets on Campus live show presented by WynnBET. I am your host, Stuckey, and with me today is our college football betting connoisseur, Collin Wilson, and of course, our own college football betting insider, Brett McMurphy. We have a lot to get to today, including our best bets. We have 4 marquee games to get to, and our round-robin underdog moneyline parlay. I do want to remind everyone that all of our picks, data, just tons of actionable content can be found on the award-winning Action Network app. All right, before we continue on here, let's bring in our college football meteorologist, Collin Wilson, to take a glance at this board today. Before we came on, I was looking pretty quiet out there. What are you seeing?
Yeah, it has actually been a pretty quiet day, except for when you look at the Iowa-Wisconsin game. We'll start there. There was -3.5 when you and I podcasted on Thursday. That came down to 3, one book holding steady at 2.5. If you use our line predictor that we have inside of the Action app, you'll see that it predicts there's a 91% chance we're back up at 3.5 before kickoff. But right now, that number is just a tug of war between sharps about which side that they want to be on. Other games, staying in the Big Ten, Indiana was +5.5. That is all the way down to +4. There has been a rush of Hoosier money against Maryland. I think you and I kind of agree that we're off the Maryland train. Can't trust this team. Too many turnovers, injuries. So we'll see what happens there. Switching over to the Pac-12, Washington State and Arizona State has seen a tick up from 53 to 54.5 in the total. That's a rush of money that has come in on the over this morning. Some people expecting Arizona State to blow out Washington State, who's on their second game with their interim coach, plus Arizona State is reinvigorated now that they're back in the Pac-12 South. Hawaii, that is one of the biggest plays on the board that has moved this morning. This was a game that I hit on the Action app early in the week at +7, saying if Day Hunter is back at running back, if Siobhan Cordero is back at quarterback, then this number is going to go down. It looks like that's what's happened. Day Hunter is a go for today's game. That is down to 4.5 against Utah State. USC just climbed in the last 30 minutes up from 21.5 up to 22. So for everybody that was kind of holding out for the Trojans to get back to 21, it doesn't look like that's going to happen. For all of you Arizona contrarians out there, that'll be available. Sadly enough, no Sacred Heart on the board this morning, or else we could have had like a 4th or 5th week in a row where some sharp money was blowing that thing out of the water. And that, by the way, that was right. So we'll look for Sacred Heart next week, because every week that it's moved, it's been the right move.
I think they're the pioneers. I'm disappointed. I always look forward to your Sacred Heart update. I'm surprised there's Hoosier money with their quarterback situation, and any move in that Wisconsin-Iowa game off of a 3 or down below or above is huge, because the total is 35.5. And any point in that game is worth like 10 in any other game. All right, so let's move on to our best bets of the day. First, we'll take a look at the updated leaderboard. Collin still has a commanding lead over Brett and myself, who are bringing up the rear. We're kind of middling. We have to make a move one way or the other. We either have to provide value by giving fades or winners, but sitting around 500, we're not giving the viewers any value here. I coined the nickname for you last week, Brett, Boom or Bust McMurphy. You've had a couple undefeated weeks. How you feeling going into this Saturday?
Much better slate of games. This will definitely be a boom week, no question about it.
All right, well, we'll get the Boom McMurphy back. I'll kick things off with my favorite bet of the weekend. War Eagle. Bo Nix season is in full effect. I'm going with Auburn -3 at home over Ole Miss. Look, this Ole Miss offense, I mean, just the team in general has to be gassed. This is their 5th SEC game of the month of October. You're talking going to Alabama, then home against Arkansas, then at Tennessee, home against LSU, now at Auburn for a primetime game. Meanwhile, Auburn is coming off of a bye. I think that they'll have tons of success on the ground against this really questionable, soft Ole Miss defense. And on the other side of the ball, Ole Miss offense has been trending down a bit. They still have one of the best quarterbacks in the country, but they're missing a lot of key pieces. Wide receiver, they've been banged up. One of their best offensive linemen is out for the year. I think Auburn gets it done. Home Bo Nix. He's a lot better at home. So give me the Tigers as my best bet. Collin, where are you going?
I like that one. I'm going to have a different angle on it here later in the show, but my best bet is going to stay in the SEC. I'm going to go with Mississippi State on the money line as they are hosting Kentucky. Let's start by giving props to the Mississippi State defense, keeping opponents under 100 rushing yards a game with a defense that ranks top 25 in line yards. That is bad news for a Kentucky offense that calls run on 59% of plays and a passing offense that is predicated on a successful first and second down. They're not the kind of team that just lines up and throws. On the other side of the ball, the air raid is being run to perfection by Will Rogers, controlling clock, ranking 10th in passing success rate. That's a problem for the Kentucky defense. Believe it or not, they are 115th in passing success rate on defense, the Wildcats are. And I mean, there's a massive difference in standard down success rate here. The Mississippi State offense, top 10. The Kentucky Wildcats, bottom 10 standard down success rate. Mississippi State in the air raid is going to be able to move the ball all day, control the clock all day. Give me the Bulldogs best bet.
Yeah, it's a Kentucky defense that really wants to take away the big explosive passing play. They do an excellent job in doing so, but that doesn't really help you against this Mississippi State offense. All right, Brett, what do you got here?
Yeah, Stuckey, look, I've already lost my first best bet of the day. We're 5 minutes into the show, and Collin did not mention Arkansas, so I'm 0-1. I will rebound, though, with my second best bet. It involves UTEP and Florida Atlantic, a game with huge implications for whatever is left of Conference USA. I think they have 2 teams left in the league at this point. Look, this has been an unbelievable job done by Dana Dimel this year. Compared to what they've done the previous years, they've exceeded all expectations. In the past 17 years, according to the Action Network's great data labs, excuse me, no team has been an underdog more times than the Miners. Look, I've been covering college football since man created fire. There's one thing I learned a long, long time ago. Real quick, Collin, do you know what UTEP stands for?
University of Texas, El Paso?
No, it stands for You Take 'em Points. Give me UTEP plus 11, go Miner Nation.
I got to throw it in there for Stuck from our podcast that UTEP is 0-25-1 all time when they play in the Eastern time zone. I think Dimmel's been driving that into their heads this week.
Yep, I was actually just going to bring that up too. Fortunately for Brett, doesn't need them to win here. Just cover rolling with Miner Nation has been a covering machine. All right, let's get to our first 2 marquee games of the day, and we're going to cover the Big Ten here. We'll start things off at noon with Michigan traveling to East Lansing to take on Michigan State, a pair of undefeated Big Ten teams. I think it's the first time these 2 teams have met, both being ranked in the top 10 since the 1960s. Michigan State, 4-point home underdog, total sitting around 50.5. Collin, what do you got here?
Monster betting handle, biggest betting handle of the day by far. The explosive play is the difference maker in this game. Both teams run the ball at a heavy rate with success. Both teams have kept opponents off the board with excellent ranks in finishing drives. But you have to take a look at the 3 common opponents that these guys have already played: Rutgers, Nebraska, and Northwestern. So when you look at the Rutgers game, Rutgers had a success rate 17% above national average against Michigan. When Michigan State played Rutgers, they doubled their overall yards per play. When you look at the Nebraska game, both teams won by 3, but Michigan allowed 3 explosive plays. Michigan State allowed just 1. And Northwestern generated explosive drives on Michigan all day, and Michigan State doubled up the Wildcats' overall yards per play. So when you look at the 3 common opponents, the Spartans are by far the better team. Michigan's not explosive on offense. They've given up too many explosive drives on defense. Give me the Spartans. Look for Jaden Reed, Jalen Naylor, deep. That's what's going to win it for the Spartans today. I'll take Michigan State.
Yeah, I'm hoping that, look, I look at both of these teams, and I think we're going to find out a lot more about them, both of them, today than we already know. The schedule hasn't been a gauntlet for either team. I don't have a strong feel on the side. I'm hoping that we get as thrilling of a game as I saw. The only time I've ever been to East Lansing, I went way back in the day with a bunch of friends, saw Michigan State, Wisconsin, when it was Kirk Cousins versus Russell Wilson. Michigan State won on a last-second Hail Mary. It was a thrilling game. But for me in this game, I'm going first half under 24.5. Both teams like to rely on their ground games. Huge game in the Big Ten. Michigan's playing so conservative, not taking shots. They're not making mistakes, relying on their defense, punting. I think you're going to see just these teams feel each other out early on. And I prefer the first half under over the game under, because I don't want either one of these teams having, especially Michigan, to throw from behind, which they haven't had to do this year. So I think this is ugly. There's some weather as well. Give me the first half under here. Brett, finish us out here.
Yeah, look, Michigan State, obviously led by Kenneth Walker, the nation's leading rusher, going against the Big Ten second best defense in Michigan. By the way, Michigan State has the Big Ten second worst defense. And are you guys, well, obviously you are sitting down. Look, a Michigan win today may put the Wolverines in the top 4 in Tuesday's first college football playoff rankings. That's how big this game is for Jim Harbaugh and the Wolverines. Earlier this week, Darren Ravel tweeted that Michigan State is getting 80% of the bets in the state of Michigan. 80%. I mean, that's the accuracy rate of a Pac-12 official. I'm going to go the contrarian route. I'm going to take Michigan and the better defense -4.
Fading the trendy dog, generally not a bad idea in a marquee game. So nice head-to-head there, and I'm going with the first half under. Let's go to the second marquee Big Ten game of the day. Iowa traveling to Wisconsin. Wisconsin's been floating around 3.5 all week, 3.5-point favorite. Over-under has tipped down in some places, I think, to 35.5. Collin, do you have the stones to back Graham Mertz in the noon slate as a small favorite once again?
I have the stones to back Wisconsin -3, but I mean, it's not because of Graham Mertz or because I don't think he's going to throw the ball. Wisconsin has found an offensive identity on the ground with Ches Malusi and Braylon Allen. Against Purdue, Graham Mertz attempted just 3 passes in the second half. That's because the running game was so successful. That's going to happen against the Iowa undersized front seven. Right now, they are 73rd in defensive stuff rate. That means that Iowa is not meeting at the line of scrimmage. They're not getting into people's backfield. That's going to make Wisconsin's run game very potent today. The Iowa offense is getting worse week by week, near dead last in rushing success rate. They are dead last in big play percentage and standard down success rate. That's a bad combination against a Wisconsin defense that is number 1 in the nation in standard down success rate. So what that means is in first and second down, Wisconsin's going to get you behind schedule very fast. Iowa offense will be behind all day. I like Wisconsin in this victory. Don't ask me how they score points, especially with Graham Mertz Graham Mertz throwing, but the ground attack should be enough to get points up on the board. I'll take the Badgers.
Yeah, Braylon Allen has really provided that necessary secondary punch for this Wisconsin rushing attack. You said you don't know how Wisconsin's going to score. I tend to lean that side, but give me the under here. We just have to avoid defensive and special teams touchdowns, which are certainly a possibility. Maybe we can afford 1 here. It's a very low total. But these two teams, ultra conservative. They play really slow. They rely on their defenses. I don't think that you're going to see many throws. They're going to say, look, run, bleed the clock, punt it, make the other offense either try to score or make a mistake. That might be the best avenue to scoring in this game. You might see punts at the 35-yard line in this one. If there are no mistakes here, this one is ugly. This reminds me just of Wisconsin Army when I bet that under. I'm on the under here as well. Brett, what do you got?
Yeah, I'll make this quick. Look, Stuckey, the only thing you have more knowledge than Irish car bombs or college football unders. you hit a Big Ten under last week that went 9 overtimes. And look, you like another Big Ten under. I will gladly jump aboard the Stuckey under train. Give me under in a brutal, brutal game that will make your eyes bleed.
Love it. Brett Boom McMurphy is coming this week. All right, let's take a little halftime break here, and let's get into our round robin underdog moneyline parlay. Collin, we had a little better showing last week after a dud 2 weeks ago. We're still certain. We just want to hit one of these this season. Yeah. So maybe this is the week. Lead us off here with your anchor.
Well, we're going to hit one of these. We hit one of these every year, and maybe this is the week. But we're going to start off with an anchor. With our anchor, we always want to take a favorite that's playing at home. We want to see positive line movement. We've got that in a spot for Utah against UCLA. Utah takes a loss in Corvallis, opening up the Pac-12 South race against Arizona State. Meanwhile, UCLA gets up 14 to Oregon at home and loses that game. And now there's really not much left to play for UCLA this season. The Bruins and Chip Kelly are being asked to go into Rice-Eccles to face a Utes defense that is one of the best in the nation and stopping the run, getting into the backfield and causing chaos. That's not a good combination for UCLA. And Dorian Thompson-Robinson may not be at full strength today. Left the Oregon game with injury. Ethan Garbers closed that out. So, between injuries, hangover, Utah is just, hungry to blow anybody out right now after what happened in Corvallis. We're going to start with the Utes for our money line round robin parlay.
Yeah, I'll throw another small favorite in here. I already talked about it. Let's go with Auburn.
Yeah, and I'm going to do Houston. Well, we talked about it on the podcast. There's major defensive advantages here for the Cougars when it comes to containing the SMU passing game. But more importantly, the Mustangs defense has just been dreadful. Near dead last in tackling, near dead last in coverage. Houston wins this game. They take a commanding lead in the AAC.
Let's go with UNC here. They are a very high variance team, which I like in a money line dog. Their results week to week are just, you don't never know which team's going to show up. No Kyle Hamilton for Notre Dame. Big time revenge spot for UNC. Notre Dame keeps stealing these wins despite getting outgained. I think the luck of the Irish runs out today. Give me the heels.
I'm going to go to Fresno State against my beloved San Diego State and my overs that I love to take with them. As much as I love San Diego State, name the passing attacks that they've faced this season. Air Force, New Mexico State, New Mexico, Towson. The schedule of offenses they face is not very good. And Ronnie Rivers is healthy for this one. He'll be back along with Jordan Mims, who just tore Utah State apart last week. But it's really the Jake Hayner passing game that's going to stretch the field and be the difference here. Give me the Bulldogs.
My final pick is going to be, I'm going to go with Miami. I think this is a good, they're either going to potentially win this game or get blown out. The way that look, this is a classic Narduzzi loses this game spot after that win over Clemson last week. They might be a little shorthanded on offense. What Miami has to do, the only way you can really move the ball in this pit defense is hit explosive plays. So are they going to hit explosive plays? High variance here. They got to take shots. I think that they might have a shot here to pull off a shocker.
Yeah, and let's return to Georgia Southern, a team that was really kind of hot on our cards the first couple of weeks, without their coach, but they're still playing hard and covering games. Plenty of flaws in the Georgia State run defense that isn't getting into the backfield. They aren't stopping the rush at the point of attack. That's a bad combination against a Georgia Southern triple option. So let's look for quarterback Justin Tomlin to have a huge day. Georgia Southern to wrap up our moneyline round robin parlay.
Perfect. All right, so there you have it, our round robin underdog moneyline parlay. Let's move on to the second half here and finish off our last two marquee games of today's slate. We will start with a game I already talked about, Ole Miss traveling to Auburn. Auburn is a 3-point home favorite here. Collin, what do you got?
Yeah, I agree with the Auburn side. I'm on it too, but Auburn has multiple ways to attack this Ole Miss defense that is getting worse by the week. The co-defensive coordinators of Chris Partridge and DJ Durkin, the Rebels have fallen to 119th in rushing success rate, 98th in finishing drives on defense. That means that the offense can just line up, move the chains, and get touchdowns on the board. And Auburn head coach Brian Harsin talked earlier this week about, his team is coming off of a bye. They want to get back to a balanced attack. He's been really heavy on the Bo Nix arm and kind of leaving the Tank Bigsby running attack. But that's going to return this week. And you don't have to really worry about Bo Nix, having previous mess ups like he's had in previous seasons. Right now, he has twice as many big time throws as turnover worthy plays. Since Ole Miss has such a poor pass rush, Bo Nix is not going to have any pressure. He's going to be able to do what he wants. But Tank Bigsby and Jarquez Hunter, they're also going to get their fair share against a very poor Ole Miss rush defense. On the other side of the ball, we don't know if Matt Corral is 100% healthy. He missed a lot of throws last week, and he only ran 12 times compared to 30 against Tennessee. But you can bet that Ole Miss is going to give everything that they have. They have to maintain their track to stay on a New Year's Six bowl, and Corral's got to stay in the Heisman hunt here. So give me the over on two teams playing on a quick tempo. I agree with you guys. Auburn's going to win. I think Ole Miss is going to run out of steam at some point, but it doesn't mean they're not going to give their best effort through the first 2 or 3 quarters.
Yeah, Ole Miss's defense was very good last week, but that's against an LSU team that simply can't run the ball. Auburn, on the other hand, can. I already talked about this game. I like Auburn. Brett, who you got here?
Yeah, you guys outlined it very well. In the last 8 years, which SEC West team has Ole Miss had the least amount of success against? Alabama, Texas A&M, LSU? No, no, and no. It's been the Auburn Tigers. Auburn's won 7 of the last 8 games versus Ole Miss and is now only a field goal favorite. Look, they're only a field goal favorite against a quarterback who is less than 100%. And Stuckey, as you mentioned, has been physically and mentally worn down by playing Alabama, Arkansas, Tennessee, and LSU in consecutive weeks. The first 3 games of the season, Matt Corral averaged only 11 carries a game. In this recent 4-game stretch, he's averaging 17 carries a game. I think this is a huge flat spot for Ole Miss. Like Stuckey, you mentioned also Auburn off a bye. This sets up perfectly in a situational spot. And I just like Auburn in this thing big. I'll take the Tigers minus the field goal.
Brett Boom McMurphy. I agree with you again. Let's hope we get a Boom McMurphy this week. All right, finally, let's close things out with another SEC game, your 3:30 CBS slot. Georgia takes on Florida in the world's largest outdoor cocktail party, or whatever you're supposed to call it these days. Georgia, number 1 in the nation, 14-point favorite over under 51 at WynnBET. Collin, before you give me which side you like, what is your cocktail of choice for today?
Probably going to be a Vegas bomb. Vegas bomb is something that I travel with to Vegas when I go to Green Bay Packers games, or I go to Razorback games. Vegas bomb is my drink of choice. So we're going to do that, and we're going to take an over in this game at the largest outdoor cocktail party. We are gamblers. We could say cocktail party. The Georgia defense has allowed 2 explosive drives in just 83 opponent attempts. Very impressive by the defense. But look at the list of teams on their resume. Clemson, Arkansas, Kentucky. Find me a vertical passing team on that schedule. You can't find one. So the most vertical passing team they played is Auburn. We come back to Auburn again. Auburn has the best passing attack the Bulldogs have faced, and Bo Nix had 6 throws over 20 yards. You can expect Dan Mullen watched that tape, saw that attack on that secondary, and that's exactly what Florida is going to line up to do. They're going to do a lot of moving pocket. They're going to do anything to keep Emory Jones and Anthony Richardson clean, and they're going to take shots at that secondary. We'll see if Florida can keep up and cover the spread, but what we do know is that defensive coordinator Todd Grantham could get fired after this game for Florida. The Gators defense has just been dreadful against the run, allowing 5 yards per play in standard downs, a sad 87th in tackles for loss. The Florida defense isn't stopping the run. They aren't getting into anybody's backfield on first and second down. And where they really do their best work is in passing downs. They do have a great pass rush, and we saw that against Alabama. But to do that, you have to get stops. And right now, they're just not going to be able to stop Georgia on first and second down from lining it up and running it down their throats. Give me Dan Mullen's offensive genius to get points on the board. Give me Georgia's offensive brutality for the over. I like the over in this game.
Yeah, I like the over here as well. And I like Florida, especially if you can get 14.5. Wouldn't bet at anything under 14. Mullen has had 2 weeks to prepare for this game. Regardless what you think of him, he can come up with as good of an offensive game plan as any coach in the country. He knows how to attack this Kirby Smart defense. He understands their pattern matching. You're going to see, look, you can't really just line up and run the ball against Georgia. You have to, it's a very standard defense, but so disciplined with no weaknesses. You have to use bunch formations, trips, misdirection, quarterback runs. Expect all of that. Just Mullen to unload the playbook here, which now has become their Super Bowl. I expect to see Anthony Richardson for a majority of this game. He's the one who's taking the shots downfield. And you're right, Georgia's defense hasn't really been tested. So I think Florida can at least keep this within 2 touchdowns. Also, if they're down 17 to 20 to 21 late, good shot of a backdoor. You saw that with Kentucky. Give me the Gators. Chomp, chomp. What do you got here, Brett?
Collin just broke some news I wasn't aware of. I didn't know Florida had a defensive coordinator. Good job, Collin. Look, do you guys really think Florida's defense is going to stop Georgia after allowing 49 to LSU, allowing 31 points to Alabama? And look, Florida's rush defense, one of the worst in the SEC. Are they really not going to get gashed by the Bulldog staple of running backs? And Stuckey, you nailed it. You think Dan Mullen's going to be slow and methodical, let Kirby line up his defense, every play? No, he's going to run up tempo as much as possible with Anthony Richardson, speed up the game as much as they can. I think Florida will have enough success to help this thing get over 51 points. And remember another key aspect of this game, both teams really, 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 really hate each other. So when we get in the fourth quarter and either team is up by a score or two, they're not going to be taking knees. They're not going to be running it into the line. They're going to be trying to run up the score. I'll take the over. I think a lot of points are scored. I'm surprised it came in at 51, but the world's largest outdoor cocktail party over 51.
No, it's a fair point. It's one thing that I'm worried about with Florida is Georgia has that sour taste in its mouth from last year when they lost to Florida. Brett, by the way, cocktail of choice for you today?
Look, I start now and then I'm up till about 3 a.m. doing my AP poll ballot. So I'll start with some iced tea and gradually change as the afternoon goes on.
With some Steely Dan in the background.
With some Steely Dan.
Steely Dan. Yeah, we didn't get any Steely Dan references today. I have some Christmas ales with a cinnamon sugar rim this morning, and I'll be moving on to some other things at noon. So I look forward to a big slate. Me and Mr. Boom McMurphy on the same side a lot today, so I'm hoping for the boom. Thank you all for joining us today. By the way, 959 Bad Beat. Anything you hear today, anything you just want to call and complain about, celebrate about, call in, talk to our voicemail. You could be on our recap episode on Big Bets on Campus that will be live on Monday morning. Make sure you check out that podcast wherever you listen. Thank you all for watching, and good luck today with all of your wagers.